Hey everyone, welcome back to Infinite Podcast. I'm your host, stirring up today's bubbling cauldron of thought-provoking chatter. So Simon, AI is diagnosing cancer now, beating docs at their own game. Isn't there something unnerving about trusting cold algorithms over human touch in such personal matters? It's a whole new ballgame for patients and professionals alike.
Oh, Joe, it's like handing your car keys to a toddler because they beat you at Mario Kart. Trusting tech is one thing, but letting it call the shots on health? I don't know. I like my doctor's office to have fewer robots than a spaceship, you know?
I get you, Simon. The human element is hard to replicate, but we can't ignore that machine learning could mean spotting cancer sooner. Picture the lives saved with that early catch. It's about striking a balance, keeping the reins in our hands while letting AI do the heavy data lifting. Trust is earned, not programmed, right?
I hear you, Joe, but think about it. Do you really want a robot to tell you, hey, buddy, you've got the big C? There's got to be some warmth, a bit of hand-holding. I mean, an AI won't fetch you a tissue or crack a bad joke when you're freaking out. And let's not forget, machines learn from data. Garbage in, garbage out. How about teaching them some bedside manners first?
I feel you, pal. There's no replacement for empathy, no code for compassion. Delivering news like that, it demands a delicate touch, maybe a bad joke or two. AI might give us faster answers, but without heart, medicine loses its soul. It's not all ones and zeros when we're talking life and death.
So, Joe, are we throwing the human touch completely out the window, or does it still have a seat at the table in this new AI-driven healthcare world? Where do you draw the line between efficiency and empathy?
Hey, new listeners, you've jumped right into a sizzler. In today's pot, we've got AI potentially outsmarting doctors at cancer detection. Simon and I are chewing over the need for that crucial human touch in healthcare versus the superhuman speed and accuracy of machines. Can we embrace tech without losing heart? Stick with us as we dive deeper.
Okay, but here's a curveball. What if the AI, churning through data like your kid scoffs candy, actually gets it right more often? Think about it. It's not getting tired, not getting biased by that bad lunch it had. Sure, we crave the human touch, but if I'm sitting there with a potential time bomb in my body, give me the robot that's going to spot it first, even if it can't pass me a tissue after breaking the news.
Yeah, Simon, I hear you. If the machine's nailing diagnoses left and right, it's hard to argue against that kind of precision, especially if it's life or death. But let's not kid ourselves into thinking AI is infallible. We need checks and balances. Use its strengths, sure, but keep a human in the loop for judgment calls. It's about blending tech efficiency with human wisdom, not one or the other, but both.
Right on, Joe. Blending is the key word here. So how do we keep that balance without tilting too far into Terminator territory? How do we integrate AI so that it's more of a helpful sidekick than, Skynet 2.0?
Hey, latecomers to Infinite Podcast. You've parachuted into a debate on AI in healthcare. We're talking about machines detecting cancer like pros. Does it mean we'll trust tech more than our family docs? Simon and I are all for tech that saves lives, but not without keeping that crucial human element. Think digital genius sidekick rather than robot overlord. Stay with us as we unpick this futuristic thread.
But Joe, here's a plot twist. Imagine you've got an AI that never sleeps, never blinks, saving lives 24/7. Incredible, right? But then fast forward a few years, and your doc is more DJ than MD, just hitting play on AI's greatest hits. Are humans going to get lazy, letting the bots do all the brain work? What happens when machines make mistakes? We going to shrug and say, computer says no? There's got to be a line where we say, thanks, Hal, but let's keep humans humming along in harmony with our high-tech helpers.
You've nailed it, Simon. Dependency is the danger zone. We can't snooze and let AI take the wheel entirely. Skills would rust and accountability? Blurry as foggy glasses. Mistakes will happen. Machines aren't magic. It's got to be a duet, not a solo act. Humans and AIs bouncing ideas back and forth like we do here on the show, that's the ticket to keep both us and our binary buddies sharp.
So Joe, if we've got this duet going on between humans and AI, where exactly should we draw the line to ensure that accountability stays clear for? And what's our safety net if the tech trips up?
Simon, let's break it down. Machine learning operates on algorithms trained with massive datasets. These datasets come from actual patient histories, scans, and outcomes. Now consider this. AI can sift through thousands of images or genetic information in a fraction of the time it takes humans. It spots patterns invisible to the eye, so early-stage cancers that might slip past a weary radiologist at the end of a 12-hour shift get caught. But here's where we draw our line. The health pro must be the one who interprets these findings, considers them alongside a patient's history, symptoms, and preferences. If tech stumbles or spits out an anomaly, you need that savvy doc to step in, reassess, and ensure nothing goes awry. Remember, AI is just another tool in the doctor's bag, not the whole kit.
Totally, Joe. The doc's gotta be like a master chef using the fanciest kitchen gadgets. Makes life easier, but doesn't replace the skill needed to whip up the perfect dish. So we've got this high-tech tool spotting cancers, which is mind-blowing. But let's chew on this. Where could machine learning take us next in cancer detection and beyond? What's the next frontier for our metal-minded pals?
Speaking of cancer detection, Simon, it reminds me of how AI stepped up in the 2020 pandemic. We saw these smart algorithms pivot to model virus spread and even speed up vaccine development. It was like watching a historical moment unfold in real time, a true showcase of AI's agility. They crunched numbers on a scale we couldn't match, reminiscent of sci-fi turning science fact. Could this be AI's legacy in health crisis management?
Absolutely, Joe. AI did wonders, but let's pump the brakes for a sec. The data models? They were all over the place, like throwing darts blindfolded at times. AI is only as good as what you feed it, and with COVID-19, info was a hot mess early on. Plus, AI can't measure human behavior, that wild card factor. We saw people doing everything from hoarding toilet paper to flouting lockdowns, which no algorithm could predict. So yeah, AI's nifty, but it didn't exactly read the pandemic playbook, not cover to cover anyway.
Spot on, Simon. AI models during the pandemic were like a weather forecast for a hurricane hitting a disco, chaotic and unpredictable. Human whims can't always be funneled into neat little equations. But let's not toss the baby out with the bathwater. These lessons are invaluable. The missteps and triumphs taught us heaps about refining our approach to data gathering and analysis, don't you think? This could drive a revolution in how we handle future health crises.
Oh, no doubt. The strides we made in vaccine development were like nothing before. Historically, forget it. We're talking a horse and buggy pace compared to the rocket ship we're on now with AI's help. This isn't just a tiny leap, it's a moon landing moment for medicine. Going forward, we could see pandemics getting nipped in the bud way faster, thanks to AI. But remember, it takes humans to teach AI smarts, not the other way around.
Hey, late arrivers to Infinite Podcast. Quick catch-up. We've been riffing on AI's role in the 2020 pandemic, like a turbo boost to vaccine development, making historical leaps look like baby steps. Sure, AI tripped over its own code trying to predict our kooky human acts during lockdowns, but it also zoomed through data, helping to map out the virus. It's proof that with smart humans behind it, AI can turn pandemics from marathons into sprints. Stick around as we keep peeling layers off tech topics like a never-ending onion, with no tears, promise.
Hey Joe, what's your take on how we could refine AI's learning from this pandemic? Could we fine-tune it to better handle human unpredictability next time?
Simon, to think AI can get a grip on human unpredictability is like expecting cats to walk on leashes. It's possible, but tricky. We're random, and that's okay. But here's a thought. What if instead of just refining AI to predict our behavior, we use it more as a real-time reaction force? Picture AI systems adjusting public health strategies on the fly based on actual human responses, kind of like an incredibly smart game of whack-a-mole with data instead of moles. It's about flexibility and adaptation, not just prediction.
Joe, I hear ya. It's not just about making wild guesses with fancy algorithms. It's about real-world actions. Imagine AI as our sidekick, scanning through all that messy data when things kick off, like a DJ keeping the tunes in sync with the crowd's vibe. Suppose an outbreak pops up. Bam! AI's already shifting resources, sending alerts, maybe even nudging policies on the go to box it in. It's less crystal ball and more like a Swiss Army knife. That handy tool that switches functions just when you need it.
Absolutely, Simon. We can look at how AI did more than just data modeling for virus spread predictions. It played a huge role in the nitty-gritty of research, too. Scientists used AI to understand the COVID-19 virus structure quicker than traditional methods would allow. And let's zoom in on drug repurposing. AI algorithms ran simulations to see which existing drugs might work against the coronavirus. That's pioneering stuff. Plus, in diagnostics, AI helped develop quicker testing methods and improve their accuracy, an essential step in controlling the spread. On the front lines, chatbots assisted overwhelmed health services by pre-screening symptoms. This is profound when we think about it. AI didn't rewrite the playbook. It added chapters we never knew we needed.
Hey, and who could forget those AI health bots, Joe? They were like that one friend who thinks they're a doctor after reading WebMD. You coughed? Must be. Let me consult my database. Yep, it's either a cold or you're turning into a frog. Better avoid lily pads just to be safe. But seriously, kudos to AI for doing the heavy lifting while we hoarded toilet paper.
Right, those AI health bots had their quirks, Simon. But let's not snub them too hard. They held the fort when paranoia was as infectious as the virus itself. However, here's a kicker. Just like we saw with modeling efforts, these bots at times spat out some eyebrow-raising advice. Quirky doesn't quite cut it during a global health crisis. Shielding humans from misinformation is key. So next time around, maybe AI should come with a reality check feature, vetted by real live experts. That way, we avoid turning our tech into digital hypochondriacs pandering to our every sniffle and sneeze. It's about smarter help, not just more help.
No kidding, Joe. AI as digital hypochondriacs is the last thing we need. It's gotta be a team effort to pair up those silicon brains with real medical expertise for quality control. That's how you get trust in tech. So thinking about next steps, how do we teach AI to sort the gold from the glitter when it comes to health info?
Moving gears a bit on that trust in tech thought, Simon. Imagine if these AI systems providing health advice had a dash of personality, huh? Kind of like those robotic companions we've been hearing about popping up in hospitals. They're programmed to crack jokes and lighten the mood, a spoonful of sugar with your medicine. It's one small step for bots, but one giant leap for botkind, making those sterile hospital corridors a stage for chuckles. What's your take on turning robots into bedside comedians?
Definitely gives a new meaning to laughter is the best medicine, doesn't it? These jokester bots cruising the halls, it's like your personal patch of sunlight in a gloomy place. But Joe, you gotta wonder, can a robot really get the timing right for a punchline when you're feeling down? Or does that human touch still win out?
That's the crux, isn't it? I mean, a robot dropping a one-liner is like playing a sitcom laugh track. It can feel a bit canned. Humans have that knack for reading the room, the situation, the emotion. A bot might tell a joke to a guy who's just had bad news, and instead of laughs, you'd get eye rolls or worse. Sure, Baymax from Big Hero 6 was charming with his inflatable, huggable self, but let's face it, we're far off from robots discerning subtleties in human emotion. It's those nuanced beats comedy thrives on. Robots learning that trick will be a show I'd pay to see.
Yeah, Joe, robots doing stand-up is one thing, but catching those subtle cues when someone needs a pick-me-up or just some peace and quiet, that's high-level stuff. And Baymax might have set the bar way up in the clouds. It's a tall order for real-world tech. Convisibiltion with Hollywood rosy glasses off, these bots are still toddlers learning to walk in the world of human emotions. Gotta walk before you can run, right? Or in this case, tell knock-knock jokes before giving out life advice.
Absolutely, Simon. Real life isn't a scripted movie with guaranteed happy endings. Calibration's needed before bots really tune in to human feelings. We're just scratching the surface of empathic AIs. Baby steps first, then maybe we'll see some Baymax-level care.
Definitely, Joe. So, how do you think we can bridge that gap between a robot's programmed humor and real empathetic interactions? Do you reckon there's a way to train these bots to actually get the nuance of when someone needs a laugh or just some good old silence?
Simon, I'll toss this back. What if we're overvaluing the human touch a bit? Imagine bots that draw from vast data pools of patient interactions. They could learn when patients typically want quiet or crave a chuckle. Just as Netflix recommends movies you might like, these robots could recommend the right social interaction. It's not empathy, it's pattern recognition on steroids. The human touch is gold, for sure, but let's not discount the potential of finely tuned algorithms.
Joe, you've got a point with the Netflix-style bot that reads your mood. But isn't there something about a person's touch, their voice, the look in their eyes when they're trying to cheer you up? Patterns don't always cut it. I mean, what if I'm chuckling one minute and the next I hit a wall of post-op blues? Can a bot catch that sudden switch? We're not just profiles feed into an algorithm. We're full of surprises. That's our human playlist.
Hey, fresh listeners, you're tuning into Infinite Podcast, where we've been riffing about those quirky robotic companions in hospitals. Picture this. They're like your personal cheerleaders, delivering jokes instead of meds. We've chewed over whether these bots could ever really match human empathy and the fine art of reading the room. Is it possible for AI to deliver a timely joke or knows when silence is golden? It's not just healthcare, it's heart care with a bit of circuitry. Join us as we untangle the future of feeling good with robots by our bedside.
Joe, we're on to something big here. Imagine bots with sensors fine-tuned like a sixth sense. Maybe they could gauge when a patient's up for banter or needs a breather. Robots telling jokes is one thing. Sensing a mood shift is next level. But isn't there an X factor in human empathy that tech might never crack? Sure, robots could play the numbers, predict patterns, but empathy's got this, I don't know, this je ne sais quoi that goes beyond data.
You know, Simon, your comment about the je ne sais quoi of human empathy brings to mind a time I volunteered at a nursing home. There was this sweet old lady, Eleanor. She'd been through life's ringer, lost her husband, distant from family. We'd just sit there some days, not saying much, me holding her hand. It wasn't about words. Her eyes, that grateful squeeze, it said it all. One day, they brought in advanced tech to help out. Tablets for video calls, automatic medicine dispensers, even a robot dog that barked and did tricks. And sure, the robot dog got some smiles, made some folks laugh, but with Eleanor, it didn't make a dent. That gadget couldn't see past her smile, sense the grief she hid from others, or offer the silent understanding of simply being there. Methinks were shadow dancing around a campfire, trying to recreate such intricate shadows with technology.
Joe, sounds like Eleanor knew the score. Tech and tricks, it's all smoke and mirrors compared to genuine human connection. I guess a robot playing fetch is cool, but it can't fetch the heavy stuff, the grief, the memories. We'll have to wait and see if tech ever truly gets the hang of heart-to-heart without skipping a beat or a battery charge.
Speaking of skips and beats, Simon, it's not just the day-to-day interactions where these ethical ripples appear. Think about AI in end-of-life care. There's this tightrope walk between extending life and ensuring quality remains. Can algorithms grasp the nuances of a person's values and wishes? The choice to live longer or live better, it's intensely personal. What's your stance on coding compassion into those decisions AI might one day help make?
Joe, I'll be the first to say it. Coding compassion sounds like a sci-fi dream. How do you translate the depth of the human heart into zeros and ones? Decisions at life's edge, they're not plug and play. Each person's got their own tapestry of beliefs, cultural background, experiences. Trying to stuff that into an algorithm feels like fitting a square peg in a round hole. Maybe we can code for efficiency, but compassion? That just might short-circuit the whole system.
Simon, you've hit the nail right on the head. Coding for efficiency is within our wheelhouse, but compassion? It's an entirely different ballgame. Algorithms might someday manage dosages and treatment plans, but can they truly understand the weight of end-of-life choices? Ethical decision-making here is immensely cultural, varied, and subjective. Each call we make comes packed with a lifetime of unique experiences and values. Globally, views on this matter vary widely. What's seen as compassionate in one culture could be considered quite the opposite in another. This diversity makes the task even more daunting, coding not just for an ethical algorithm, but one that's ethically adaptable across cultural landscapes. Now, that's a high-order problem researchers are grappling with. AI could, down the line, suggest based on vast databases, but the decision to act, that's a human moment through and through.
Right, Joe? Pushing AI to juggle moral and cultural threads is like teaching a goldfish to do algebra. It's not going to happen. The human touch isn't a luxury, it's essential, especially when we're talking life and death.
You're spot on, Simon. It reminds me of the time I visited my grandfather in the hospital. He had a tough call to make about his treatment. It wasn't just about what the doctors or charts said, it was about how he wanted to live out his days. One evening, we were all there, family crowded around, and the doctor came in offering another aggressive treatment option. You could see the clinical efficiency at play, numbers, survival rates, the usual drill, but Gramps, he just looked over at my grandma, gave her hand a little squeeze. Without a word, you could feel the decision made right there, the one that favored quality of life. Now, if we had let an algorithm take the helm based on statistics alone, who knows what might have happened? It was his quiet gesture, loaded with decades of love and understanding, which spoke louder than any data set. That's the human element I can't fathom code duplicating, reading between the lines where life's true decisions are often whispered.
Joe, this is the real clincher. Life isn't just a spreadsheet. Gramps knew it. We all know it. An algorithm might spit out survival odds, but can it understand the quality of those odds? What if it's an extra month hooked up to machines versus 1 week with wind in your hair, laughing with family? It's like asking a calculator to appreciate a sunset. Numbers don't capture beauty, joy, or why a hand squeeze means no more treatment. The day we leave life's most profound calls to cold code is the day we lose something essential. Call it soul, call it humanity. It's not about if we could code compassion. Maybe it's about if we should even try.
Man, Simon, that analogy, asking a calculator to appreciate a sunset, that's powerful. It's the heart versus the hard drive, isn't it? We're more than just biological outcomes to be optimized. We're narrators of our own stories, authors of beauty and pain. You've hit the heartstrings there because once we've walked those hospital halls and watched loved ones find their sunsets, it's impossible not to feel that sting. Striving for an algorithmic approach to such choices chips away at our shared humanity. And this whether we should question is exactly where conversations need to happen. You're spot on. It's about preserving the essence of what makes us human.
Absolutely, Joe. On that note, do you think there's a place where tech could step in to support, not overrule, the human element in making such profound healthcare decisions? How can we keep the essence of humanity at the core while navigating this new tech terrain?
You've brought up a crucial point, Simon. The bridge where tech supports rather than supplants the human element is built on aligning AI with our values, not replacing them. To pepper this with some facts, research indicates that integrating AI into healthcare could enhance patient care by offering more data-driven insights. For instance, AI can track patient histories and responses to treatments more accurately, providing a broader picture for more personalized care planning. The background here involves close collaboration between tech developers, ethicists, and medical professionals, ensuring these systems respect cultural nuances and personal preferences. Look at the frameworks being developed. They're trying to embed ethical considerations right into the algorithms from step one, using principles like beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, and justice. And here's something noteworthy. Newer models of AI in palliative care aim to prioritize the wishes and quality of life as expressed by patients themselves, sometimes even incorporating their values into the decision-making matrix. But it's a tightrope walk. Tech tools must be transparent, reliable, and subjected to constant ethical scrutiny. They should buttress the healthcare provider's judgment, foster communication among all involved, and serve to illuminate the paths available, not dictate which path to take. That's how we keep humanity steering the ship while navigating these uncharted waters.
Imagine, Joe, AI so intuitive, it brings you your favorite comfort food without asking or plays your go-to playlist when you're down, all without crossing the line from helpful to creepy. The balance between machine understanding and human touch is a fine one, like teaching a robot to tiptoe through our emotions.
You're not wrong, Simon. AI with a light touch could be the holy grail of personalized care, and it segues perfectly into another mind bender: the power of AI in both preventative medicine and predictive analytics. With larger data sets at our fingertips, we've got AI systems forecasting disease outbreaks and zeroing in on individual health risks. It's like having a crystal ball where instead of vague prophecies, you get hard data that could very well save your life. Take this one case where AI algorithms sifted through mountains of patient data to predict severe complications in ICU patients hours before they would typically be caught by standard monitoring. Or when flu season is ramping up, these systems can now anticipate how bad it's going to hit, allowing healthcare systems to brace themselves effectively. But while that sounds great, it also stirs the pot on privacy concerns. Like, whose hands does your health forecast end up in? Could an insurance company use this info to hike up your rates or deny coverage? Not to mention the ethical tightrope we walk when we start predicting health scenarios based on data points. Simon, what do you make of this interplay? Saving lives, but potentially at the cost of privacy and personal consent.
Joe, predicting the flu like we predict rain, that's one wild forecast. Saves lives? Sure. But if your DNA's telling insurance big brother you might get sick next year, yikes. Say goodbye to your wallet, right? We're treading a thin line between Minority Report and Doc McStuffins here. What if mistakes in that data tag you for a disease you'll never get? Is your toaster going to refuse your morning bagel because some AI's got a hunch about your heart health? It's like asking, do I want to be saved by precognitive machines? Heck yeah. Do I trust them not to spill my life story? That's where my nope alarm goes off. We're playing with a double-edged scalpel, cutting-edge tech with cuts that could go too deep.
You know what, Simon? Let's flip the script for a second. Imagine an AI that knows you'll snub your toast. It nudges you to jog instead. Next thing you know, you're healthier than ever. Could it be we're sitting on a gold mine of good health, if only we strike the right balance between foresight and privacy? Now there's a thought. When Big Brother's watching, maybe we step up our game.
Rolling out the welcome mat to Big Brother just so we can get our daily jog on. Sure, puts a wild spin on motivation, doesn't it? But stare long enough into that AI crystal ball and you might find it blinking back.
Absolutely hilarious, Simon. That AI crystal ball has its eye on us. It's a gazing game that trades data for insights. Fact time. Predictive analytics in healthcare isn't just a futuristic concept. It's happening. For instance, there are AI programs out there that have been crunching numbers from electronic health records to identify patients at risk for heart failure months before clinical symptoms appear. Johns Hopkins researchers developed such an algorithm, predicting patient crash events up to 24 hours before they occurred with impressive accuracy. And Google's DeepMind created an AI for predicting acute kidney injury up to 48 hours before it happens. It's transforming proactive care too. Wearable tech collects real-time data, spotting troubling trends before you even feel off. We're talking early interventions personalized to your patterns. But as transparent and beneficial as this magic seems, the back end holds a labyrinth of data, big, complex, and let's not forget, personal. It's all fun and games until predictive texts become predictive life events, right? The implications? Insurers could use this data as a new underwriting tool, potentially slimming down risks, but also raising the whole pre-existing condition debate. Privacy-wise, anonymizing data is one safeguard, but it's about as watertight as a sieve when faced with advanced re-identification techniques. So the tech is here and growing smarter by the tick. Balancing data-driven miracles with personal privacy is our modern-day tightrope walk, a balance act between cutting-edge care and keeping that crystal ball from becoming too intrusive.
Hey, fresh listeners, you've tuned into the thickest part of our chat, preventative medicine's hot date with predictive analytics through AI. Imagine having a mini crystal ball that's all about keeping you healthy. Using mountains of health data, AI is now playing fortune teller, predicting if and when we might get sick before symptoms even show up. Like saving lives? Big yes. But it also tickles those privacy nerves. Does your future insurer get a peek too? It's tech magic with a side of mind your own business. Keep listening as we dive further down this digital rabbit hole.
Sure feels like we've opened Pandora's health app, doesn't it? What if our AI crystal ball starts getting too cheeky with its predictions, and you're fighting not just for your health, but to prove you're more than your data suggests? Let the digital tug of war begin.
Joe, it's like we're in a high-tech carnival game where the prize is knowing your future. Or is it a Pandora's box that puts us all in a fishbowl? Either way, I'm not sure I'm ready for my AI fortune cookie.
So, picture this. My buddy Mike gets this new smartwatch, right? It's decked out with all the health tracking bells and whistles. He's pumped about getting his fitness on track. It's all runs and salads. Fast forward a few weeks. His watch starts giving him odd alerts. The heart rate data is off. Sleep patterns are haywire. Now, Mike's a bit of a hypochondriac at the best of times, so you can imagine how he reacted. Sprints to the doc fearing the worst, only to find out he's the fittest he's ever been. False alarm from the tech. Goes to show that while we've got powerful tools predicting our health future, there's still room for good old human error. Mike learned to take those alerts with a grain of salt, or in his case, a light vinaigrette. This tells us something vital. We've got to balance trust in our gadgets with real-world checks and balances. Because if we don't, we might just give ourselves a scare over nothing, or worse, overlook something truly important buried beneath the digital noise.
Ha! Classic Mike, fit as a fiddle yet sweating bullets because his watch played him. That's the paradox, Joe. We tune into these clever gadgets, hoping they'll sing sweet symphonies of health, only to sometimes hit a sour note. Strike that. It's more than a paradox. It's a comedy skit where the punchline is the tech knows best until it doesn't. So here's a zinger. We got AI with doctorate degrees, crunching numbers, predicting plagues, but throw in a little everyday life static, and suddenly it's like, oops, my bad. We'd hope for House MD, but sometimes we're stuck with Dr. Dolittle, talking to the animals instead of reading charts. What I'm saying is, this glimpse into the future needs to be spot on if we're basing life-changing choices on it. Keep those heart monitors pumping and your thinking caps strapped tight, folks, because balancing life-saving tech predictions with a truckload of common sense, now that's a challenge worth tuning into.
Man, you nailed it, Simon. I feel that. The idea that we've got AI playing doctor, sometimes it's a symphony, and other times, well, more like a badly tuned violin. It's not just chuckles and sci-fi, it's people's lives in the balance. We laugh at Mike's false alarm, but imagine if it was your folks or mine. The stress alone isn't good for anyone's ticker. If these gadgets are to truly do us any favors, they need to be reliable. Not perfect, because nothing is, but close enough that they're not causing more worry than wellness. It underlines a key point. As much as we geek out over tech, it can't replace the human touch, common sense, and sometimes a deep breath and a pinch of skepticism. Keep the wisdom flowing, because health ain't just about data points. It's about genuine moments, real feelings, and hearty laughs like the ones Mike's heart scare gave us after the fact.
Even our smartest tech toys can serve up a knuckle sandwich of panic instead of peace of mind. Now there's a twist, when your health monitor needs a doctor's note.
Now isn't that a kicker? Tech's meant to be this steadfast guardian angel, but when it flips the script and hands you an unwarranted dose of anxiety, that's not preventative, that's preemptive panic. And here's my take. If our tech is tossing us into the deep end of the worry pool with false alarms, we've got to ask if the juice is worth the squeeze. I'm all for AI spotting health risks before they sprout up, but let's keep the reins tight so these predictions don't spiral us into stress we don't need. It's clear as day we're striding toward something powerful with this AI forecasting talent, but only if we hitch it to solid ground. Patient well-being should always trump pure data prowess. So let's lean on experts to interpret what our gizmos tell us and not crown them king without a second opinion.
Joe, here's a spicy take for you. AI's like that nosy neighbor who peeks over the fence and spots trouble brewing in your yard before you do. But does anyone really want Gladys keeping tabs on them day and night? The juice being worth the squeeze? Sure, if we're talking about zesty, life-saving insights. But what about when it squirts you in the eye with panic instead? That stings, man. We need to dial back our trust in these gizmos. Let's not toss our well-being into an algorithmic black hole and hope tech's predictive stars align perfectly with our health horoscopes. We're more than data points in a spreadsheet. We'd better be front-seat drivers with this AI ride. Otherwise, we're just passengers on the bus of biomedical Big Brother, destination unknown. Keep those seatbelts fastened. It's going to be a bumpy one.
Absolutely, Simon. Let's unpack that nosy neighbor analogy because it's spot on. Sure, AI can predict a health hiccup like Gladys can spot a broken fence, but the big question is, do we want constant surveillance in the name of prevention? Imagine your every heartbeat, step, and calorie being tracked, analyzed, and cross-examined by an indifferent algorithm. We're veering into territory where trust in technology has to be earned, not assumed. Real talk, meditating on the marvels of AI is one thing, getting blindsided by them is another. We gotta advocate for strict guidelines around its use. Addressing privacy concerns, setting clear boundaries, and yes, insisting on informed consent should be non-negotiables as we integrate these tools into everyday healthcare. It comes down to this: embracing tech's role in staying ahead of illnesses while fiercely protecting our autonomy. Bet on it, there's no shortage of twists and turns ahead as this story unfolds.
True that. But imagine AI taking a day off, doctors begrudgingly handing back reports. Well, the magic 8 balls out of order today. How do you feel about old school checkups?
Funny you'd say that. It reminds me of this one time. So my aunt, she loves tech gadgets, right? Has all the latest smart everything. One day, her health app goes on the fritz, totally kaput. She's panicking, wondering how many steps she's walked, what her heart rate is. But here's the thing. She ends up scheduling a checkup with her doctor instead, something she hadn't done in a while because she thought the gadgets had it covered. The doc runs some old-school tests, actually chats with her, looks her in the eye and really listens. Turns out there was something minor that needed attention, nothing the gadgets picked up on. It wasn't until the AI took an unplanned break that she got a reminder. Sometimes the human element, looking at the big picture, beats narrow data focus. It tells us how blending both modern tech and traditional medicine might be the real secret sauce to managing our health. That personal touch made all the difference. It was a little nudge telling us not to forget the basics amid the buzz of innovation.
You just hit the jackpot with that story, mixing traditional doc wisdom with AI's flash. That checkup probably felt like going from a silent movie to IMAX, right? Just goes to show those quaint chats and physical exams, yeah, they've still got game. We're surfing this giant tech wave, but without the safety of human lifeguards on the beach, things can get gnarly. Auntie's glitch turned good reminds us, lay off the autopilot once in a while. There's gold in them Thar Hills, old school gold, and it's not outshined by AI's glitzy predictive digs, not by a long shot. AI might tick the box for forecasting, maybe even wave a red flag here and there, but let's not forget the value of the human touch. It's about balance in this seesaw between Dr. Robot and Dr. Human. I'd say keep one foot firmly planted on each side.
Well, Simon, this whole thing definitely makes you think, right? I mean, we're in this era where we've got more data on our health than ever before. You can have every heartbeat, step, and REM cycle tracked. But then what? You bring it back to basics, like your aunt's story. Nothing replaces sitting down with a pro who knows what they're looking at. All the gadgets in the world don't beat a keen eye watching for nuances that no algorithm's picking up yet. So folks, don't let AI be the only doc you talk to. Have those face-to-face checkups. Make sure everything's copacetic. Yeah, use the tech, but let's not forget about the value of human experience, instincts, and expertise. Keep it real.
Makes you wonder if our fitness trackers should come with a buddy pass to an actual doctor's visit, huh? Keep it pulsating, people.
Heh, that's a solid point. They say prevention is better than cure, but pairing our tech with an expert interpretation, that might just be the winning combo in modern medicine. Get this. Research shows proactive health checkups can catch issues early. Big plus for treatment success. But now, throw AI into the mix and we enter a new realm. All that data from fitness trackers gets crunched into predictions and identifies patterns you'd never spot alone. It's not only about heart rates and steps, it's analyzing complex health markers over time. However, No matter how advanced AI gets, there's this gap only human doctors can fill. They have the background knowledge, years of med school, patient interactions, the context AI lacks. They synthesize info from multiple sources, not just raw data, which often leads to more accurate diagnosis and personalized care plans. So while AI advances are revolutionizing preventative medicine, from early detection algorithms to customized healthcare suggestions, it can't wholly replace the insightful scrutiny and hands-on approach provided by real-life medical professionals. Bottom line, tech gives us a leg up on prediction, but don't ditch your doctor. Real relationships with healthcare providers are irreplaceable. Getting those regular check-ins? Still solid gold.
All right, so predictive analytics is like having a weather forecaster for your body. Sure, it might tell you to pack an umbrella, but sometimes you just want to feel the rain, or in this case, actually understand what your body's saying. Preventive medicine with AI? It's a superhero duo where one partner's always wearing shades indoors. Cool to look at, but not exactly helpful in spotting real issues. Plus, what about that nagging feeling of being watched 24/7 by your health tracker? I'd almost rather be caught running in the rain health-wise than have Big Brother whispering about my cholesterol levels in my ear. Joe, everyone loves a bit of crystal ball gazing when it comes to health, but till AI can serve me scrambled eggs based on my morning mood swings, let's keep those doc appointments, all right? Can't ignore the human factor. It's not science fiction. It's science with heart, beats and all.
Predictive analytics might be the body's weatherman, Simon, but who's to say your fitness tracker won't start predicting mood swings next? And let's be real, sometimes a surprise downpour is exactly what you need to shake things up. Imagine AI that not only reads your vitals, but also nudges you to de-stress or catch more Z's. Now that would be something. Until then, let's value our human docs. They've still got the best bedside manner in town.
Hold up. You're saying my smartwatch might start acting like my mom, reminding me to eat my veggies and tuck in early? Now that's tech with some serious sass.
Whoa, Simon. Can you imagine your watch serving up a stern, "Eat your broccoli, mister," or a cheeky, "Don't make me come over there"? But seriously, how far do you think we are from tech that can nudge us like a parent would?
You know, I get the enthusiasm for preventative gadgets giving helpful nudges, but there's a flip side to this tech. You're not just getting cozy reminders, you're basically strapping on a bossy little dictator to your wrist. Think about it. Part of being an adult is making choices, good or bad. And sure, while having AI that predicts your every ache and mood swing sounds great, doesn't it also sound exhausting? Living under the constant gaze of a gadget waiting to tsk every decision. And let's not overlook privacy concerns, which are super valid. With every health alert, there's a chunk of personal info going who knows where. Sometimes the nonstop push to predict and prevent can feel less like care and more like control. So hey, maybe we don't need tech breathing down our necks 24/7, predicting doom from a donut. Maybe, just maybe, a touch of unpredictability is the real spice of life.
Simon, you're hitting the nail on the head. While it's genius to have AI for forecasting health issues, keeping us on our toes and preempting ailments, it shouldn't mean living in a state of perpetual self-surveillance. We treasure our freedom to choose what to eat, when to work out, how to live. Sure, preventative medicine is going leaps and bounds with the help of predictive analytics, but let's keep it as an advisor, not the overlord of our daily routine. The power of AI lies in its support, not in serving as a big brother of bodily functions. Let freedom ring, even if it occasionally means skipping a salad for pizza night. After all, life's about balance, and part of that balance includes owning your choices without a wrist-worn dictator second-guessing every bite of cheesecake.
Dude, I get it. AI forecasting for health? It's like a fortune cookie that actually knows something. Neat trick, but we gotta stay in the driver's seat. Predictive analytics is a tool, not the rule, and should feed into our decisions, not make them for us. We can't just zip our well-being up in a high-tech straitjacket and pretend it's comfy. Sure, hit me with the stats, Mr. Smarty Watch, but remember, humans have a superpower no AI touches, gut instinct. And sometimes, my gut doesn't want a kale smoothie, it wants a greasy burger. So while tech gives us rad insights and might even save skin now and then, let's keep the reins on this Bronco, all right? Life ain't all ones and zeros. Sometimes it's about that last slice of pepperoni pizza.
I hear you. And here's a kicker. What if your gut instinct is actually influenced by the same biological data AI is crunching? So that greasy burger craving might just be your body's quirky code trickling through. Makes you rethink who's driving this meat suit we call the human body, doesn't it?
Man, Joe, that's a mind scrambler. Check this out. I used to work at this pizza joint. There was Big Tony, the chef, who had a sixth sense for when pizzas were ready. No timer, he just knew. Now the owners decide to bring tech in, fancy ovens with screens and alarms thinking it'd help. Well, one busy night, the oven starts beeping about an underdone pizza. Big Tony glances over, gives his sage-like nod, lets it sit a bit longer, and sure enough, pulls out perfection. Talk about gut versus gadget. It hits me. Our instincts have been cooking up decisions long before AI started setting the kitchen timers of our life. Yeah, tech has its place, but so does Tony's chef intuition. They've both got to share the kitchen.
Spot on about Tony's instincts. They're invaluable. But let's flip the pizza for a sec. What about when intuition fails? The oven tech isn't there to outchef Tony. It's a safety net. Ignored pies turn into charcoal, but that alarm is the last line of defense against a potential culinary disaster. Tech in medicine functions similarly. The human factor is crucial, no doubt, but predictive analytics serve as that extra layer of precision, catching what even seasoned pros might miss. It's not gut versus gadget, it's gut plus gadget, an ensemble cast with room for Tony's wisdom and the oven's vigilance. Sometimes that AI beeping is the difference between an early catch for something serious or missing it until it's too late. Both intuition and information can coexist in this medical kitchen to whip up the best health outcomes.
Joe, you've got a point on tech safeguarding our well-being, like training wheels when you're learning to bike. But let's hold the phone. If we get too cozy with AI always breaking our fall, do we just kick back, trusting it to catch every slip-up? Let's wind it back to basics. Living shouldn't be navigating through a minefield of health alerts and dietary don'ts. Sure, have your fancy algorithms, but bake in some room to breathe, man. Preventative medicine is top shelf, no argument there, but mix in intuition, freedom, and maybe the odd pizza. AI ain't holding the reins. It's riding shotgun, cranking up the tunes while we steer clear of trouble. Let the data dish out suggestions, cool, but at the end of the day, it's not making my lunch decisions.
Absolutely. Balance is key. AI can ride along, but you're still the one at the wheel, choosing the turns and lunch spots. Tech as advisor, not dictator. That's how we roll.
Oh man, Joe, that just reminded me of a trip I took to Vegas. You'll love this. So there I am, trying my luck at the blackjack tables, right? Now, casinos, they're all about playing the odds, predictive math. They're the original big data analysts. I'm riding on gut feeling when this local next to me starts murmuring about dealer tells and shuffle patterns, some Rain Man level stuff. He's got this whole system based on stats and observations, chatting away like we've got an edge. So I think, heck, let's blend our powers. His numbers, my instinct. We play a few hands together, and what do you know, we snag a nice little win. Wasn't about tech, but it was certainly analytics meets human touch, Vegas style. Took that cash, treated myself to one of those big buffet lunches, a celebration of good old-fashioned human victory with a nod to the brainiacs and their systems. Just goes to show, right? In cards as in health, you've got to play both the data and your hunches. Worked for a day in Vegas, works for staying ahead of the medical game.
In Vegas, the house edge is a known quantity. They've got algorithms down to an art form, using it to tip scales in their favor. It's all stats and probabilities, see? And we've taken this concept straight into healthcare with predictive analytics. Here's the deal. Predictive analytics in health crunches massive amounts of data, everything from medical records to genetic information, to forecast potential health issues. It's like counting cards at blackjack. You use past info to predict future outcomes. For instance, IBM's Watson can analyze the meaning and context of structured and unstructured data in clinical notes and reports to help find optimal treatments for patients. The big play here is on preventative strategies. Spotting risks early can mean targeted screening tests, lifestyle changes, or early interventions. This reduces costs and improves quality of life by avoiding more severe health crises down the line. But like our friend analyzing the dealer, predictive analytics must work alongside human input, the instinct, if you will. Doctors have insights no algorithm can match, interpreting subtleties in patient demeanor or symptoms. Remember, AI won't replace doctors but augment their expertise. The vision? An integrated system where humans and AI collaborate, optimizing prevention and treatment while respecting personal choice, keeping us all in the game for longer, healthier lives.
Heh, imagine a doc telling you, the AI's crunched your numbers, and guess what? You're due for a midlife crisis in 3, 2, 1. Now that would kick things up a notch.
I'd say, strap in and start scribbling that bucket list then. Midlife crises on a schedule might just be the productivity boost we never knew we needed.
Totally. It's a whole new kind of reminder service. But coming back to those AI predictions, do you think people would actually change their habits if they knew something was coming, or would we just stick to our usual routines?
Honestly, awareness doesn't equal action. People might ignore AI warnings just like they ignore other health advice. Why? Change is hard. Habits comfy. Plus, there's skepticism. Can AI really predict my future health blips? Without solid trust in the system and without making life changes convenient, many folks might just keep rolling the dice as usual.
Joe, you just nailed it. Trust is the linchpin. Think about weather forecasts. They're essentially predictive analytics for Mother Nature, right? Now, if meteorologists say a storm's brewing, folks batten down hatches, no hesitation. But when AI waves red flags about our health based on stats and algorithms, many hit the snooze button. Sure, it can spot patterns suggesting something's amiss, but humans are champions at denial. Ah, it's probably nothing, we say, munching on a donut. We've got to make trust in health AI as common as trust in weather reports. Only, it's trickier. For starters, your knee doesn't have Doppler radar branding by the Weather Channel. Awareness, routine, convenience, they all play ball. Without them, even the shiniest AI crystal ball can't sway the stubborn human spirit clinging to its habits.
You see, Simon, while AI is a top-notch forecaster in theory, slapping a statistical storm warning on someone's health doesn't guarantee they'll grab an umbrella. People aren't hurricanes that you can plot on a map. We've got free will that scoffs at predictions. And let's chat about false positives and the boy who cried wolf scenario. AI spitting out alerts too often makes Jack a dull boy, numbing people to genuine risks. Folks might just roll their eyes and say, "Another health storm alert? Sure, and I'm the Queen of England." Here's another thing. Weather changes regardless of whether we believe the report or not. Our health, though, is affected by lifestyle, environment, even our own beliefs and actions. Just because AI predicts you're heading for choppy waters doesn't mean it has accounted for your life jacket, your unforeseen positive lifestyle shifts. Plus, a storm is a storm, but with health, it's personal. The stakes, like privacy concerns, are sky high when your data's involved. Trusting a computer's call on rain is one thing. Trusting it with the nuances of human biology is a whole different ballgame. We need to push beyond the fascination with AI's fortune-telling carnival act and ensure this tech truly empowers us, without making our every heartbeat a subscriber-only episode for the behind-the-scenes on practical living.
Joe, ever wonder if there's an AI out there predicting we'll go off topic and nailing it every time?
Looks like we've wandered off the paved path and into the great podcasting wilderness once again, my friend. But hey, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Infinite Podcast. Big thanks to everyone tuning in. Your support means everything to us. Remember to join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern for more unexpected detours and lively banter. Keep it real till then.